Aryan loved exploring forgotten places. He felt drawn to their silence, to the stories whispered by the wind as it whistled through broken windows. Today's adventure led him to Rusty's junkyard, a sprawling graveyard of forgotten treasures on the outskirts of town. The air hung heavy with the smell of rust and rain-soaked metal. A glint of gold caught Aryan's eye. It was wedged between a broken radio and a dusty computer monitor. He dug it out, brushing off layers of grime to reveal a sleek, black smartphone. The screen was surprisingly unscratched. Curiosity piqued. Aryan slipped the phone into his pocket. He continued exploring for a while longer. The setting sun reminded him it was time to head home. Later that night, Aryan sat at his desk, the strange phone in his hand. He had managed to charge it using an old adapter. As the phone sputtered back to life, a wave of unease washed over him. The phone was ancient, a model he had never seen before. The wallpaper was a faded picture of a girl with bright, laughing eyes. A notification icon blinked at the top of the screen. It was a message, unread, from a contact named Lina. Aryan's finger hovered over the notification, his pulse quickening. He tapped on it. The message read, "I hope this works. Are you there?" The date on the message was from 10 years ago. Aryan's heart skipped a beat. This had to be a prank, right? Aryan scrolled through the messages. They were all from Lina, spanning several days in 2015. They were about mundane things, school, friends, a dog named Sparky. Yet there was an eerie familiarity to them. Lina described events that had happened in Aryan's life just days ago, almost as if she knew his future. A chill ran down Aryan's spine. Could this be real? Was he actually communicating with someone from the past? His rational mind screamed no, but a part of him, a small hopeful part, wanted to believe. He decided to take a leap of faith. Taking a deep breath, Aryan typed out a reply, "Who is this?" He hit send, his heart pounding in his chest. The reply was almost instantaneous. "It worked! You replied!" Lina's message popped up on the screen. Aryan stared at it, his mind reeling. He was communicating with someone from the past, but how and why? He continued the conversation, cautiously asking Lina about herself, about the messages predicting his life. Lina's next message sent a shiver down Aryan's spine. "Listen carefully, Aryan. On Friday, at the corner of Elm and Oak, something terrible will happen. You need to avoid that intersection at all costs." A wave of dread washed over Aryan. Elm and Oak. That was the intersection where he had a near-miss accident just a few days ago. How did Lina know? Section 5. Chasing Shadows. Aryan spent the next few days consumed by Lina and her messages. He learned she was a bright, bubbly girl who loved photography and dreamed of traveling the world. She had stumbled upon this old phone in her attic and somehow figured out a way to send messages to the future. Following Lina's cryptic clues, Aryan began piecing together her life. He discovered she lived in his town, in a house that had burned down a decade ago. He found an article about the fire, mentioning a girl who perished in the flames, Lina. Aryan's blood ran cold. He was communicating with a ghost. Section 6. The Truth Unfolds. Aryan rushed to the public library, his heart pounding in his chest. He had to find out more about the fire, about Lina. He found an old newspaper archive and pulled up the article about the fire. There, staring back at him, was a picture of Lina, her bright eyes now dulled in death. The article described how Lina had been home alone, trapped in her room by the rapidly spreading fire. She had used her phone to call for help, but the fire had cut the lines. Then Aryan saw it, a small detail that made his blood run cold. Lina had sent her last text message moments before the fire consumed her room. It was a message to the future, a desperate plea for help. Section 7. A Race Against Fate. Aryan felt a surge of despair. Lina was trapped in the past, her fate sealed. He couldn't save her, could he? He reread her messages. each one a painful reminder of her impending doom. But then he remembered something else Lina had written. She mentioned a time capsule she had buried in her backyard, a time capsule containing her hopes and dreams. Maybe, just maybe, if he could find the time capsule, he could find a way to change her fate. Aryan rushed to Lina's old house. The once grand Victorian was now a charred skeleton of its former self. He found the backyard overgrown and neglected, and then he began to dig. Section 8. Trapped in Time. Hours later, his hands blistered and raw, Aryan unearthed a small metal box. He pried it open, his heart pounding. Inside, he found a stack of letters, photographs, and a small worn diary. He opened the diary and began to read. Lina's words, filled with hopes and dreams, seemed to leap off the page. As Aryan read Lina's final entry, he realized the devastating truth. Lina had known about the fire. She had smelled the smoke, felt the heat licking at her door, but she couldn't escape. Her last message, her plea for help, wasn't meant for him. It was meant for anyone, for everyone, a message lost in time. Aryan was not meant to save her. He was meant to receive her message, to be a witness to her last moments. He was part of a loop, an inevitable chain of events. Section 9. Echoes of the Past. Aryan sat there for a long time, the weight of Lina's story heavy on his heart. He couldn't change the past, but he could honor her memory. He could live his life to the fullest, just like she would have wanted. He could be kind, compassionate, and brave, carrying her spirit with him, always. As the first rays of dawn kissed the horizon, Aryan made his way to the cemetery. He stood before Lina's grave, a simple headstone marking her short life. He placed a single sunflower, Lina's favorite, on her grave. A silent promise passed between them, a connection forged across time. He would remember her always.